Welcome to Pop Law Podcast. I'm your host, Desiree, and I'm still not your attorney. Focused on education, empowerment, and entertainment, Pop Law is the podcast where pop culture, business, entertainment, and law intersect. Join me as I explore cultural hot topics from a legal perspective and discuss the impact of some of the most compelling topics and legal cases with industry experts. He's a visionary, a deal maker, a man who took media out of the living room and brought it to every terminal and gate in the country. Lynnwood Bibbens is a founder and CEO of ReachTV, the largest Black-owned MBE-certified airport television network in the U.S., with over 2,500 screens across 90 airports and more than 50 million monthly viewers. He struck major partnerships with the NFL, Live Golf, and TikTok, and built a platform that's transforming travel into connection. Today, we're unpacking the business of reach, the power of ownership, and how to build long-term collaborations that redefine culture and commerce. Everyone, please welcome Lynnwood Bibbens.
Thank you.
It's been a long time coming.
Yes.
I'm so happy to finally have you on Pop Law. We've been talking about this for a long time. So how do you feel to be here?
I'm excited to finally get here. I'm like, I got lucky. I get to get in the seat.
Yes, I'm so happy because you have some big news that's happening with ReachTV, so I would love to get into that. But let's talk about the topic from flights to fortune, how Lynnwood Bibbens built ReachTV and redefined media in motion. Before we get a little bit deep, I'm going to ask you some Pop Law confessionals.
All right, let's go.
A little bit of this and that. So say the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't overthink it. Silent partner or vocal collaborator?
Vocal collaborator.
Long-term deal or short-term flexibility?
Long-term deal.
Risk the idea or protect the ownership?
Risk.
Gateside seat combat or airport lounge reset?
Gateside seat, what?
Combat. You know how people be fighting over the seats when
Yeah.
there's not a lot of seats there.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. It's in both of those places. So
Yes, yes.
I think I'm going to go with Gateside.
Okay. Travel for work or travel for inspiration?
Work.
Power breakfast or late night brainstorm?
Power breakfast.
Create content or control distribution?
Distribution.
Future of media, personalization or community?
Both.
Okay. Teach the playbook or protect the secrets?
Teach the playbook.
Faith or fear, which fuels you more?
Faith.
All right, you got through it.
I got through it. All right. That was good.
So
I was ready for something that jarred me, so I'm good now.
I decided to keep it light on you. We'll save that for after the show. Okay, so we're talking about what it means to own your screen, and you didn't just create a network. You created an empire that reimagined how we consume media on the move. So before you built this empire, you worked in corporate, and I want to talk a little bit about that corporate success and then how you took that leap from employee to entrepreneurship. Tell me what that was like.
Well, I mean, I was always the entrepreneur, but the companies got bigger and bigger and bigger, so it became more corporate-y. But I was an entrepreneur. For me, it started in college. I saw an ad for like, hey, you can get $12 an hour. You know, I'm older, so not to date myself, but $12 an hour sounded like a lot of money for a college kid. And I ended up selling Cutco knives. And that
I did that too.
Yes. Well, I did $25,000 in the summer. So I ended up getting really good at it and understood how to manage my time. But what it was, the other day I was thinking about it really, like what really was it? Mm-hmm. It was the ability to understand I could talk in any room.
Yeah.
Right? So I was talking to most of my friends' parents who I really never had that type of relationship with, but it let me know I could talk to anybody.
Right.
And then I was successful talking to anybody. And then that year they had a training program to teach you how to open your own office. So while I was coming for the winter break, I was literally studying how to open up my own office. And then that summer, that following summer, right after school, I opened up an office. So I was interviewing kids that I was partying with, but they had no idea I had like fake glasses on, like, just to make it work. But it ended up being the catalyst of me knowing that I can be an entrepreneur and run my own business, and I negotiate leases and all the things that you have to do to start a business, start a company. And then I got that bug, and I've never really felt like I wanted to get rid of that.
Yeah.
So as the companies grew and grew and grew, I'm really good at going from 0 to scale.
Yeah.
Right, and then I like that. I like the idea of taking something from an idea and turning it into 100 million, 200 million, 300 million type of business.
And that's the secret sauce that so many people need and want to learn about, that we'll get into, is how to scale. People don't know how to do it, so we have an expert here that can teach us how to do it. Was there a specific moment that confirmed that ReachTV could work?
It's funny. Most of the moments when my best friends told me I was crazy, it was never going to work, and I was a business partner too, so it was kind of like funny. But I tell everybody, the reason I believed in it was I did the business plan. So I went through, in a business plan, there's this whole section on who's your competition and what are your obstacles. And this makes you be really honest with yourself. The reason I knew I could make it work was I was actually reaffirming when people were telling me no, is because there was a loophole in like a legal standpoint with some things that really meant me no, that the people that they thought would come and crush me and stop me, they really didn't want light on what they were doing as a business. And more importantly, they didn't have the ability to program down to that screen. So if I'm in Newark Terminal C at gate 22, I want to know, you want to know something should be playing relevant to me sitting there.
Right.
Nobody else had that ability to do that from a television content perspective. So I knew that technology-wise, I would have a jump start. And because we were starting up and nimble, I could do all things that people that were, most of the infrastructure that was built for television was 35, 45, 65 years old.
Yeah.
So I had a technology advantage over everyone.
And I want to go back a little bit, because I read in your bio exactly that you have the screens and it's content, but tell people a little bit more what ReachTV is and where you can find it, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, we're really a streaming television network. We started off being a short form content, making quick bites and going through. I started the company in 16, but launched in 17 with the idea of bringing truth and positivity to a place that's stressed and you feel guilty, you're traveling, you're leaving somebody somewhere. So we were trying to make it light and fun, truth and positive, quick snacks, and keep going.
Right.
We started off in bars with the largest food and beverage operator in the airport. That was our first contract. We went bigger. We said, we're going to go big or go home. Right. So we got the first contract. We started in 3 airports in January of 17. And quickly, by 2019, we're in 68 airports. So, and yes, because what happened is we brought value to our concession partners.
Right.
We brought their branding on the screens. We brought cool offers, because you were sitting at that bar, you got a specific offer for that bar.
Right.
And people are like, how is this possible? There's television content and I'm getting the offer for my exact location. So all the concessionaires felt like they were being seen. So we brought value to our partners, who then gave us the scale we needed to go do what we do. So it was a great partnership. They wanted customization for their location, and we wanted distribution and scale. So it worked out for both of us.
And you can't help but see ReachTV when you're walking through the airport, the yellow tag that's all on across the television screens. Was that color intentional?
Yeah, I mean, so if you see now, even with the green, and we've been moving, I'm probably on a 30th version of this at least. And we constantly move. We move from a DL bar with all the words on it to a ticker that came on. I studied, I'm a student too, so when we learned how to, people's insights and eyes from a digital perspective, they want movement every, between 37 to 30 seconds, depending on what platform it's on.
Right.
So we always have something moving, whether it's a ticker, whether it's words, whether it's a splash. We keep things moving so that, we keep people engaged.
Right. So you went from yellow to green.
Yes.
Okay,
we went from black, red,
Red. Okay.
It was red. It used to be called ReachMe.tv, so TV to reach me.
Yep.
And then it went to, we were able to secure ReachTV, and then we had multiple different versions of this, but we went to blue, and then we went to yellow because we saw the yellow color was very attractive. And then about a year ago, year and a half ago, we did a deep dive on rebranding. We were going to buy a brand or rebrand, and we ended up saying, let's rebrand.
Okay.
Let's really put the work into it. And so we put all the brands we loved and came up with this combination, and we unveiled it at our upfronts at the New York Stock Exchange.
Oh, guys. All right. You saw that flex at the New York Stock Exchange. So you talked about the partnership deal with the concession stands in the airport, and I want to know a little bit more how you structured those early partnerships or seed investments to make sure you maintain ownership and control of the company.
Well, I mean, since we're being very blunt and then we're talking about law and talking about contracts and agreements, I've built and sold multiple companies, and then I was doing film and television finance. So and I say that in a way of saying I had a track record of success.
Yep.
And when I launched Reach, I built, did the business plan, very detailed, created an investor deck, and went to some of the biggest venture firms you would know. And I did it because I wanted to see firsthand if some of the things I heard over here were true or not. And I've had the ability, never really had to have the ability to raise capital because I always had my biggest supplier to come in and be an investor. So it was eye-opening to me. There was a couple of things that I saw that I didn't like. Number one, there wasn't a lot of people like us on the other side of the table. Number two, there was a very defined thing, and it took me a while to define what it was because I've sat on both sides.
Yeah.
And what I saw was, for me, the way they treated me was I needed to prove my model, and there's a counterpart company that did something very similar to me that was able to raise money, hundreds of millions of dollars to date, and they were given the ability to get investment based on their potential. And that bothers me because that is fundamentally the whole point of having these levels of capital, venture, private equity, institutional, is to take great ideas, invest in them up until a point, and then hand it off to the bigger company to invest the next part and to the next part. And I'll give you an example. You would not have Amazon today if there wasn't people that went from that investment level to that investment level to this investment level, right? You wouldn't have Facebook. You wouldn't have Netflix.
Yeah.
Every one of those companies I just mentioned, they had a quarter where they lost $2 billion.
Right.
$2 billion in a quarter. And my challenge has been, and I'm in this, my challenge has been finding one black-owned company that has lost $2 billion in a quarter ever.
Right. Right.
And it's not that we couldn't build any one of those businesses. We just didn't have the financial investment support to allow us to do it. We are always working in a capacity of where we are trying to grow a business and show profitability at the same time.
Right.
And sometimes those things are counterintuitive.
Yeah.
You would need to be investing for longer term, bigger growth, because when you're getting that short term profitability, what you're doing is cut off your potential to get at massive, massive scale.
Yeah.
And so we've had to find, a lot of black entrepreneurs have had to find, and Hispanic and Asian, but we've always had to find another way around that. And the way around that for us has been collaborations, right? And I think that's great, but I think, wow, imagine if you had both.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could, there's Jeff Bezos who's walking around that we don't know about because they weren't given the ability and access to capital.
Yeah.
And that's very frustrating. So for me, when I started getting that back to Reach, I went through that. And it was a lot of, well, once you prove them out.
Right.
So I was already prepared mentally. I just wanted to go and see.
Yeah.
I put my own money in.
Yeah.
Right? Because so that was my way of doing it. And then I did something that I'm going to write about for a Harvard business class. But then I went to all of the big three, NBC, CBS, and ABC, and said, you want to be my partner on the sports and news, but only positive. news, well, this is what you have to do. And all three bid, surprisingly, to be my partner. And I chose CBS television at that time.
So for entrepreneurs who don't have the track record that you have or their own capital or money to put up, what are some ways that they can approach these companies for collaboration, since it seems raising capital is a bit more difficult for them when they're going into these conversations?
Well, like when we went to our first big concessionaire partner, it didn't matter how much capital. Those companies are $3 billion, $5 billion. What can we bring to them? Yeah. What we were able to do was actually prove, we built our product, we had a product, we were able to show and demonstrate the value that we were bringing them. And we talked about what we could do for them. Nothing, we didn't worry about what they could do for us. Yes. First is over-deliver value to whoever that partner could be. Show them why what you're building and what you do is valuable to them. And then, this is the key part that I think people skip over. Let them know that you'll be here. Right. Right? And whatever way you got to do that. If it's just the way this country's set up, our cost structure is low, so we'll be here. We're not going anywhere, regardless of what happens. We have built a runway for the next 2 years, 5 years, what have you. Find a way to let them know, because there are billions of dollars of corporation, right? When they make these decisions, even if you think, well, if it doesn't feel, it's no big deal. You're moving a tanker. Yeah. So when you ask a tanker to make a move, they made that move, and in your failure, you think, oh, it's not that big a deal, but it is, because they moved an organization in a way. So it's really important that they know you're going to be there. Yeah. So we got to figure that. That's the part that's always challenging, how you balance. I need you, but I'm here. Yeah. Right.
And I think that's a really important part that people do skip over as well. So showing that they have that standing. And now I want to go back to, again, the early stages. What's one legal or business mistake you avoided or learned from during that early time?
So there's many, right? One was we setting up our shares the right way, our cap table the right way, going through that process. And when I first came to my company, when I came out of college, my friends already owned the company, already had started it. And then I became the top sales guy, and I was like, well, you can't afford to pay me, so I want to be a partner. Right. Getting that paperwork, we had to redo all of it. I mean, just going through that process was fun, like learning it. But it also let me know that a lot of people don't do it right. Yeah. Right. And then understanding your value. Your reason for selling isn't somebody else's reason for buying. Right. So sometimes what happens is you're like, oh my God, let's say I'm running this podcast and I'm only doing $1 million, and they're going, $1 million? Do you know that only 1% of podcasts do $1 million? So while you're looking at where you are in your bubble, you got to also understand what a market is. How many companies do that? How many companies actually shoot a podcast, a video on their podcast, right? So all of a sudden you find out that you're in this smaller group. So people buying you, what's the reason for someone buying isn't always your reason for selling. Yeah. So how do you bring the most value for their reason to buy? Yeah. That's something I learned when we were selling the business, because we were at 30-something million dollars in revenue, and we're doing a mail order back in '94, and we're break even / lose a little money. So we're like, what are we gonna get for this? And I was able to talk to a professor who used to be an investment banker, who said, you're looking at it the wrong way. Yeah. You got to look at mail order. There's 5 companies that do over $30 million, and the rest of them are all hundreds of millions of dollars. Right. So you broke into this category. People will buy you at revenue. Yeah. At 1 time, 2 times revenue. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. And then he said, and the most valuable you are is to your biggest suppliers, because they're making money on you. So while you might be losing money, if you had their cost basis, you'd be making 15%. So now you're a $4.5 million, $5 million EBITDA company. Right. Overnight, just from your supplier coming in and then having ownership with you. So it made me look at the world differently. Like, hey, what your value is, where it can be, right. And also what you have to do when you do scale. Yeah. So.
And you talked about something that was really important, partnering with people who didn't have money to pay you. I know a lot of times when Black people have ideas and start companies, they want to keep 100% of the ownership, and they don't think about bringing other people in or giving up part to the company. What would you say to the entrepreneur about keeping 100% ownership of something that's totally
100% of nothing
zero.
is zero.
Yeah.
I could give you some math. 100% of nothing is still nothing. So
Yeah.
good luck with that. I'll give you a better example. Jeff Bezos. Everybody talks about him. He was the richest man in the world for, I don't even know, 10 years straight, right?
Yeah.
He only owned 16% of Amazon. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Elon owns 19% of Tesla. I mean, I don't even think it's that high. I think he owns like 12% of Tesla.
Yeah.
He's the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
He owns 12%. So 12% of that is a lot more than 100% of whatever you're talking about.
Exactly.
So I'd say keep it in proportion.
Yeah.
Now, you can, if you really want to, I think what people are saying is they want to have 100% control and management of their business. And what you should do, like I do with every company, I have a management agreement. The management agreement talks about all the day-to-day activity, and it's very defined. So now you can own your business from a day-to-day operation.
Right.
Your cap table is a different thing. That's not even, it's really not relevant to you're making money and you're distributing profits. But even then, it doesn't matter. You got salary, you got all kinds of other ways that you could increase what you take out of that business. But first, put in your own management agreement to yourself, right? That way you don't have to ever worry about the operational part of the business, because really that's what they're talking about. They just don't want to, they don't know how to articulate that part, right? So what we should do is start to normalize in our community that there's a cap table, then there's management agreement, these are services provided by certain things inside here, and what your roles are. So I even set my company up, and then my management of it is a separate entity, a separate agreement.
Separate agreement.
Yes.
And I think that was very important. As you said, people don't know how to articulate, and that distinction will keep them in control of their company, but also make some money.
Yes. Bring in investors. Bring in the cap table.
Bring in Lynnwood, right? So what inspired you to go after the in-transit audience while everyone else was fighting for streaming at home?
That's why. So I looked at it and said, well, I'm not going to beat ABC, CBS, and NBC.
Yeah.
Okay? And I looked at what they were looking for. Then I went right down the rights chains. At that point, Netflix was too far along, so they were gone.
Yep.
But go backwards. I knew Netflix when they were the guys buying my DVDs from me.
Yeah.
I was dropping them off at their house and get my money from them. So I knew them as the guys that rented out gaming stuff, and then you can return it whenever you want it.
Yeah.
So when they told me they were going to this, it was interesting to me, because I was also doing work with the Salter Group that raised them $500 million. And I was like, wow. But more importantly, I was doing film and television finance, and I was looking at rights windows. So it used to be digital, television, international, and non-theatrical.
Right.
Those four buckets. When Netflix came along, they were paying TV money, and they were trying to get this, but they said, no, you're not digital and you're not TV. So they created a new window.
Right.
And that was eye-opening to me. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's very interesting. How were they able to do it? So I studied on how and why, and because of the delivery and all these things. So when I looked at that, I said, there's a space here. Because when I looked at everybody's target audience, it was the people that traveled.
Yeah.
And I said, so all these people want this audience because it's fragmented. And nobody's really taken it and put it all together and used technology and data and so forth to bring it together as one cohesive audience across an entire journey.
Right.
So that was my mission. And the biggest key, it's 9.5 years later now I can say it, but the biggest key in all of that was getting enough content to be able to distribute, right? I don't have enough money to go buy 200,000 hours of content, but that's what you need, right? So I went the other way. I said, first, before you go write a check to anything, what is the rights window and what is the cost of the rights window should be? If you look at a cost per minute of a digital, let's say it's, make up a number, 15 grand, this is what you're gonna pay for a digital series, this is what you're gonna pay in SVOD, this is what you're gonna pay for TV, this is what you pay for international. I wanted to understand what could I what price point can I articulate for the window I wanted to create?
Okay.
So with DLA Piper, we went to every single studio, which I already knew.
Yeah.
And I said, guys, I'm here not to do film finance today. They're like, oh, what's up? I'm like, I'm launching a company. I want to talk to you about closed circuit rights. Mm-hmm. And they were like, cool. I think somebody else deals with that. I'm like, yeah, but let me just make sure you look at the definition we have.
Yeah.
And we had a really clear definition. It was airport, retail, hotels, with a window that if you see it on the screen, you could take it with you for up to 14 days without impeding on the digital rights. Mm-hmm. Why that was important is, one, it was a new rights window.
Yep.
But it sounded like what everybody knew. Everybody knew CCTV, but they didn't know it wasn't a rights window.
Yeah.
That part, I mean, and then defined it.
Yeah.
And then went out to the market with a name they knew, CCTV,
yeah.
with a definition from one of the biggest law firms around, and with a relationship, again, at all the different studios, so I could immediately start to exercise that rights window. Mm-hmm. That allowed me to buy content at 1/100th of what the price of a digital. It allowed me to go at scale quickly, so I could actually program a network for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So the secret sauce was owning my own rights window.
Yep.
Very much pulling the Netflix playbook, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I took that, put it over here, and been evolving that the entire time.
Yeah. And you talked about relationships. How important are relationships in the early success and current success as you still reaching 10 years?
Yeah. I think, I say this to people all the time, your word has to be the strongest thing you have.
Yeah.
So when we've went through pandemics, we went through things, I think the best compliment I got, and I think my team saw it one time, is like we had a deal. Long story, we had a contract. That contract got nullified, but I went to everybody and told everybody. So I see this guy and they were fine. They're like, okay, we got the 6 months. Boom. Well, when I see the COO, he walks up to me and he goes, "This is why this guy's always going to be successful, because when things went bad, he didn't send somebody else. He didn't go anywhere. He sat there and he let us go at him, and he just sat there and looked right in our eyes and didn't move. He walked out the room that day probably thinking we were upset, and we said we will always protect him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
See, when you show up, everybody can show up when it's good.
Yeah.
It's when you show up when it's bad.
Absolutely.
And when you show up when it's bad and you have integrity about that, it helps you have a longer term relationships. Those relationships are what you can lean on later.
Yeah,
I get more of my business from someone calling me and go, yo, I was thinking about you. Yo, you should talk to this person.
Yeah.
I don't know all these people. Everybody thinks I know all these people.
Yeah.
I get introduced to people by people that are my people.
That trust you and your word and you show up.
And they know no matter what, I'm going to do right by their people.
Yeah. And how has travel culture evolved and influenced what you program on Reach?
I mean, that's all we do. We do surveys, we questionnaires, we're watching the data. I'm a data nut. So I'll give you, for example, pre-pandemic, you had frequent flyers doing about 3.1 round trip tickets a year. Post 24, that number was at 5.8 round trips. So just that means I'm talking to people not 6 times a year. Now I'm talking to them 12.
Yeah.
And the recent data is you have at 6.7 times. But then there's a new category coming together called Super Traveler. They're going 20 times a year. So if you think about, I'm talking to somebody 40 times.
Right.
It's extremely important that I'm serving that audience and giving them stuff that's refreshed, that's good, that's informative, that's educational, that they feel entertained every time they come. So I'm focusing on them all the way down to the person who only flies once a year.
Yeah.
So we needed to make sure we had all that. And it's extremely important that you watch that, because imagine if I was doing like other people, they're running the same rerun, and this person now is coming 40 times, like, yo, I saw that last night, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's sort of like sometimes with in-flight, not the bus chops, but sometimes the in-flight, I'm like, all right, can't watch this movie for the 14th time. I need to download a movie now because I'm
Right.
flying this week. I flew the last 4 weeks in a row every week, so it's like, all right, nothing else to watch.
Now, last year when I recently counted, I had over 20 flights. This year, I decided to just stay put a little bit.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that you believe travel is going to pick back up as people are going to have to start going back to work, and I'm seeing all the companies making that happen. Luckily, my day job is still remote,
Right.
and I'm going to dread when I have to go back to an office. But tell me, like, your prediction for that. Obviously, we see the companies, and then how your content may or may not change.
Well, our content's we're gonna really focus. We have this amazing time of day, 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. Most networks don't even pay attention to that. That is one of the most important times for us. And right now, you have a combination of executives flying during that time and people, right? But they're not necessarily, they're going for work, but they're not in corporate travel yet.
Yeah.
What you're going to see coming up is corporate travel. So meetings where the whole team is going to places, and so you want to make sure that they feel that that morning programming is something that they can't get anywhere else, and that there's nuggets that they can take into the meeting. They literally take ticker and things that we put on the ticker, and they'll repeat it in the meeting. When you walk into a meeting, it's like, oh man, wow, I saw that Chicago has this. Those stats matter. Those are the things they remember when they walk into their meeting. So it's really important to us. But I also love it for the fact that when you're looking at local businesses. So remember, the airport's job is to have an economic impact on the community, right? So what happens is, just look at my office. I have an office at 895 Broadway, right? So what I noticed when I first moved in there about 6 months ago, I could go across the street, the restaurant, it would really be kind of dead, and we could walk in, get our stuff, and there's a little store up the corner. There was traffic, but not like that. In the last 6 months, if I don't call down and reserve a table, I don't have a table.
Okay.
Right? And then, but I also notice is the energy is on another level. There's people just moving in and out because they're back in the office 3 days, 4 days, right? And some are going to go to 5. So I think about, how do I inform people that come into the city where to go? So now you're sitting there going, where do I go to eat now? Because you've already eaten at the same damn place. So how do I, so now we got to get more into what's involved in that city, what's going on in that city, and how do we really keep people entertained on that? Like, I want to know the new restaurants. I want to know the new hot spots. So it can't just be about, hey, where other destinations are going. It's like, now, let me tell you what's in New York you're missing out on. Right? So those are all going into our programming. Yes.
I think that's so smart and very important. As you said, people starting to go back, and me who I don't have to travel for work all the time. I do have a bunch of corporate travel coming up, so I look on TikTok or Instagram to find out restaurants or things to do. But if I'm in the airport and I can see that, then that'll be awesome.
Yeah, and then if you knew that the same place you went to on the street is in the airport. That's also good. Yes, there's a lot of that.
So we talked about your content, and I really want to give the viewers a little bit more gems before we get out of here. I want to dive a little bit deeper into your approach when pitching large companies on long-term or multi-year deals.
Well, I'll use companies like the NFL. I'll use a company like that.
I love that example. I wanted you to use that one.
Yeah. So the NFL we had acquired CNN Airport, and in our pandemic, just to give you an insight, we had a dream. We were not allowed during the pandemic. We had every other Friday. It was called Dream Sessions. In Dream Sessions, you get muted if you say anything about what we currently have. It was only about things we didn't have and that we all wanted. So we say, I wish we could just do this and then this and then this. And that was the dream session. So we were like, that's an awesome one. Let's put that one on our dream board. And we said, well, wait a minute. Even though it's a dream, we could probably get that. One of them was, could we transform? And we saw that the top 100 shows was going to keep going to live sports because people just don't watch other things at a destination time. So our goal was, could we get these live sports? So when we acquired CNN Airport, I had a relationship with the NFL from years ago. I know people. And when they called me, I started thinking about, what does the NFL want? So I saw this thing where Roger Goodell had been in the airport, And he was like, why is my games not on? These are the most important people for us. And when he said it was like 2018, because he was focusing on NFL global.
Yeah.
And for him to have global, he needed the traveler to want to be in that super demand for NFL. So I saw that. Then I looked at the data, and at that time, you saw about 40%, and it was a pretty high number, 40% of people who were going to games lived over 150 miles away.
Yeah.
That number now is 60%.
Okay.
So I said, this is the opportunity.
Right.
Right? So when I called, Mike is a good friend, I called, I said, listen, I know, we have all the gates, we have all these things. We really want to be a partner with you. And to his credit, he said, we really want your audience. And so I said, listen, you know who I am. We're here. We have this. You know what it is. You've been a partner, but let's turn this into something. So originally, I had to settle for what they gave me, which was, and it was still a great deal. I had a 2-year deal with a 1-year option, and it was basically gave me all of the national games.
Okay.
Okay. When I was doing that deal, so if you know my mindset at the time, I knew that was good to get in the door.
Yep.
So it was great, but I already had a mission, which was I wanted to be hyper local. I want the people in Philly to see the Eagles. I want the people in New York to see the Giants. I want the Minneapolis to see, and I want to be able to do that in real time.
Yeah.
So what we did was, as soon as we got the league, so very excited, game changer, get the NFL. Second we got that, I said, guys, we're going to be doing surveys, and I don't care the cost. We're doing surveys. I want you to ask everybody in Philly what they really want to see, right? And what came out of it is what we expected. One, I want my local team.
Yeah.
But the one we didn't know is they want the pregame shows. I forgot about fantasy.
Yeah.
So then they were like, we need the pregame show. Like, I'm literally, and what I realized is, if you think about the pregame show, everybody watches the pregame, and then they go out to the different games.
Yeah.
So we went back to the NFL with our findings, and to their credit, they're like, you know what? Do you have the technology? I'm like, we do. That's what we do. So uniquely, out of all the 5 broadcast partners they have, we're the only ones who can actually do this.
Yeah.
So that allowed us to have this window to actually have those games. And it's invaluable to all the other networks because they get our audience too. So we made it a win-win for the entire ecosystem to win because we win.
Yeah.
So when their success is tied to our success, we're all successful.
Yeah.
So that was really how we did it. And then while we had that, they announced the 10-year deals for everybody else. And I said, so let me get this straight. There's 4 broadcasters that have 10-year deals, and there's 1 that has 3.
Yeah.
So then we switched that up. So when we were adding the local, I said, match me.
Right.
I want to match everybody else.
Yeah.
Treat us just like you treat every other television network. And they did. So to their credit, they did. And, it was, we are delivering you asked me a question earlier. The Traveler has always been the most targeted audience with this much scale. The problem is it's been so fragmented to get to this audience, and you haven't had a way to put it all together.
Right.
So that was our goal, and that's what we'll be able to do. And not to jump in on this, but what we've been able to do that already. But what we've been doing the whole time is collecting data, collecting measurement, going through. So now we actually have a platform we stood up, so you can talk to that traveler, not just the day of travel, but today, tomorrow. Because what happens is travelers are curious. They're the ones they're the trendsetters. They're the ones looking for things, and they're also export like what else is going on. So what we've done is taken all that data. We had it called the ReachTV ID. People are all opted in. Then this was a big bill, but TransUnion came a couple of years ago at Cannes and said, we're going to stand this up. And I'm like, whoa, that's a big ticket. But then I started doing more research and I realized if you don't have this in 2 or 3 years, you're going to be way behind playing catch up.
Yeah.
So we decided to make the investment over the last couple of years. And now we have a TransUnion ID. So now we can take the ReachTV ID, match it with the TransUnion ID, and we allow brands to either set up a clean room or we could just pass them through the TransUnion ID.
Right.
So now we can create this 365 always on, and then on those days of travel, we can really be able to customize and talk to you throughout the entire journey. So the announcement was yesterday, but we already have partnerships. You know, we've already integrated in airlines, hotels, all the big agency data codes.
Yeah.
We've already done the match rates. Our match rates are over 86%. So, like, they're all coming, right? Because they've now seen and matched. And I think what we're trying to do is look at that audience, match it through all that journey, and deliver value to the audience that they want more.
Yeah.
So.
And the last piece of advice for people who have a business, whether it's media or anything else, and let's say they've been around 2 or 3 years, they've done pretty well, but they're having trouble scaling. You talked a little bit about data, but what other pieces do they need for their business to scale and longevity?
I mean, scale to me, it's simple to me because my brain thinks that way, but I think it's something like I'm trying to slow down and let people articulate.
Yeah.
I look at scale, I said, what is your business? Who's the ideal partner? Why?
Yeah.
Is this person the ideal partner because they can help you go from 3 million to 10? Or is it that they give you the inventory capacity to go to 10?
Right.
Right? Either one of those is great. But I think the mindset has to be, if I partner with them, could I create something else? And if I partner with them, even if they didn't do anything, it would create something else. Because sometimes you want your partner to feel like, well, we're creating something. You don't have to do anything, but it immediately lets me create this by making us part of your ecosystem. We'll do the work. And sometimes you might be the gas they need. So I would say collaboration. Really think about who's your ideal partners, and then go call them.
Yeah.
Like, at work, I think this word no, God, like I wish.
For me, I don't believe in no.
Yeah.
No is a soft yes to me. I'm going to get to.
See, you have no is a soft yes, and I say no is just not yet.
Okay.
Right? So we both have I don't mind that word.
Yeah.
To me, it's just, all right, we didn't get there yet.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Where we got to go to get to this yes? And I think that's what we all got to keep, get rid of the egos.
Yeah.
Get rid of all that. Who cares? Sometimes it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I would say even in a no, keep the relationship.
Yeah.
Because 2 years later, 3 years later, it may be a yes.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and when CNN went out of business, people thought I was crazy. In 17, when we were launching, in 18, I met with them. And they're like, what are you doing? You're going after their business. I'm like, so what? We might have a collaboration that we don't know about if we connect. And then we did. Me and Debbie became really good friends. She ended up growing up a town away from where I grew up. So in Jersey, so we just had that connection. And so when they decided to exit the business, guess who they called first? Me.
You.
Because of the relationship.
Yeah.
Right? And if I didn't have the relationship, I wouldn't have her on my side saying, here's the best choice.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes people think about it that wrong way. They're like, we're enemies. You're not enemies. You don't even know what their goals are.
Absolutely.
They're not even looking at you. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Jay-Z line, I'm not even looking at you, I'm looking past you. So, sometimes you want them to look past you so you can integrate in.
Yeah,
and other times you got to look at other people and say, nah, that's not my cup. That's who I'm going after. And sometimes I say, I don't have a competition. I'm my competition. People don't even know the craziness I have in my head. So they couldn't keep up even if they wanted to.
Yeah, I know. It's very hard. But we'll get there, though. So I want to leave us with 3 takeaways for the audience. I'll start with one from our conversation. Collaboration compounds growth. Multi-year deals aren't luck. They're strategy, trust, and alignment. 2 more from you.
You took my good ones.
I know.
I do think that make sure that you value relationships over transactions.
Yeah.
And it's becoming more and more evident in this world we're in. Relationships matter.
Right.
So really focus on that. And even if you don't get the transaction, make sure you don't ruin the relationship.
Right.
I'm watching people burn bridges for no reason. That's one. And then 2, I think it's was talking about this yesterday in a meeting with a bunch of executives. The attitude. I've never, like, there's this, you gotta have the attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
And that will change a whole bunch of things around you, no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm thankful every single day I get up, because I'm breathing.
Yeah.
That was my grandfather's line to me. If you're breathing, you're good.
Yeah.
And I really believe that. If I'm up and breathing, watch out. That means I got another opportunity to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And I look at life that way, and it keeps me positive, and it keeps, nothing's really that big a deal. And I guess the line I use for my grandmother is, "This too shall pass."
Yeah.
You add that with attitude of gratitude, and this too shall pass. Nothing really bothers you that much.
Right.
You might lose something.
Yeah.
So what? I won. Like, I literally fail more times a day than most people, but I also win more times a day than most people because I'm constantly moving, and I don't really get too high or low. And,
Yeah.
and I think the one thing, if I was to say, I wish I would do more, maybe celebrate the wins a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm so like this, in general, I'm up here, and I just stay up there, that I don't really go into like, oh my God, look what we just did. I'm already looking at what we gotta do next, right? So that's the only thing I try to, and it's not for me, for like the team, to let them celebrate a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I'm just not built that way. I'm built on I'm up here and then I just stay like that.
Well, that attitude of gratitude, I think people can get out of that, like, depression or failure, you know, when they get that now. So, you know, who was it? Will Smith, fail early, fail often, fail forward. You know, you got to pick yourself and keep up going.
Keep it going.
So I will say the real power isn't just in creating content. It's owning the screen that it plays on. Lynnwood, where can people reach you if they want to know more about you personally? Tap into ReachTV.
I mean, I'm one of those guys that uses my real name everywhere. So just Lynnwood Bibbens on all platforms. LinkedIn. I probably on LinkedIn, Instagram. I don't really do a lot of other things.
Yeah.
I think I'm a different age bracket. I'm not on Snapchat. I tried that once. I took a picture of my foot by accident. So I've never been back. I think my son loves that. But you know, I will say that I think that content is king. Yeah. But I also think distribution's emperor. So
love that.
So a lot of people are making content, not really high quality content.
Right.
So there's a smaller amount making really high quality content. The key to that high quality content is getting distribution, so that there's a value created there. Yeah. That no one can deny.
Right. All right. From the runway to the boardroom, Lynnwood Bibbens proves that when you control distribution, you control destiny. At Poplar, we don't just talk about deals, we teach the business of culture. So whether you're a creator, founder, or executive, let this be your reminder. The next deal you sign could change your trajectory if you're bold enough to own it. I'm Desiree Talley. This is Pop Law, where pop culture meets law. And that's a wrap on today's episode.
Thank you.
Reach out to us on all Pop Law channels, Instagram, TikTok, the website. Listen to us on all platforms, and we'll see you soon for the next episode. Stay tuned for the breakdown, and we'll get a little bit more into partnership deals and joint ventures. Bye. Thank you.
That was great.